Hello, Mart-Marie. Welcome to Life in a Garden Online. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's fabulous to chat to you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Are you a little nervous about this conversation? Don't know why.
Oh, I have never done an online interview before. I always do these live videos solo. So it's funny to have someone ask me questions.
Well, just pretend I'm the little voice in your head asking you the questions and that you're all alone. And there are the dogs making a noise, and I've actually locked the door. But anyway, please ignore them. I try to as well. Mart-Marie, tell us a little bit about where you grew up and where you went to school and things like that.
Okay, I grew up in Rustenburg. I was born there. I was born in Rustenburg and went to primary school there and high school. And what was the other question?
Did you go to Sun City a lot?
Actually did. We did go to Sun City quite a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just down the road.
I suppose it was just that was like the easiest not the easiest. Yeah, the easiest thing to do in Rustenburg. There's not a lot to do in Rustenburg, especially not in the 90s that I grew up in. So yeah.
How old are you? As a matter of
I'm
interest.
39.
Oh, so we're about to break the 40 barrier.
Yes,
Yeehaw!
I'm turning 40 this year.
So life is about to start.
I think life already started.
Tell me, when did your weight problem start?
From when I was a child. I went to grade 1, I was already overweight.
Were you overweight, or was that just the perception everybody else gave you?
No, I was overweight when I went to grade 1.
Do you come from a fat family?
I do. My both my parents were obese as well. I and my youngest sister was also very overweight. At the time of her death, she was about 90 kilograms overweight. And my eldest sister is currently very overweight as well. We were three daughters.
So did you? Are you fighting genetics, or is it just lifestyle? What do you think it is?
Well, I, I blamed my weight problem on quite a lot of things actually. I um I blamed my weight problem on a poor lack of food knowledge for a long time. I believe that I wasn't taught how to eat properly when I was a child. So I would, I grew up on potatoes, rice, and meat, and any vegetables that we got tasted like dessert. It had so much
So much sugar. Yeah.
butter and sugar added, and that was the food knowledge that I took with me and into adulthood as well. But over years of dieting and trying to lose weight, I've I've learned how to properly eat, but that knowledge of knowing how to properly eat didn't stop me from regaining each time. I kept on yo-yo dieting for years. And yeah, so it wasn't, I don't think the problem really was with my knowledge, with my food knowledge ever. I think all my problems were emotional problems, that I was just addicted to food. I was numbing my pain by eating.
Why are we as humans in so much pain?
Sorry?
Why are we in so much pain?
Yo, that's a very deep question just to start
Okay,
off
well, just
with.
give us the sort of abridged answer. You don't have to go too in deep. It wasn't like an invasively personal question. It was kind of like your problem is the same problem that I think all of us have, whether how we focus on food and what we use food for. So, but why? Why is that our go-to place?
I think, look, for me, I had quite a difficult childhood growing up. My mother was very abusive towards me. Um, she, I also had a very deep desire to be in her good books. I wanted to impress her and be the best and be enough. And I was just never enough. There was just, yeah.
Did your
And
sisters also feel like that?
I don't know if they personally felt that way, especially not my older sister. She's 12 years older than what I am. She only started gaining weight after she left the house. So I'm not sure exactly what her issues are. Our relationship, we have a good relationship, but not a very close relationship. My younger sister and I, we were much closer. We only differ with 18 months. So we were much more closer, but we also started drifting apart after I left for university. Yeah, and she committed suicide.
I'm sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
so that was in 2018. She committed suicide. So yeah, I think she also had the same issues, that she was just never good enough. I truly think all my problems were emotional and personal problems that I just tried to numb them by overeating.
Okay. Are you waiting for a question? Okay. See, nothing's planned. We just ad lib around here. Okay, so you left Rustenburg and you went to study what at varsity?
I went to study information technology. So I went to Tikkies, and I studied my undergrad and then my postgrad. I did both there. So I currently work as a software engineer.
I was about to say, you're a highly qualified IT person.
I don't know if I'm highly qualified.
The only step up from that is architecture.
Yeah, well, I don't want to do architecture. No, I like programming. It works well for me. I really love programming.
I did information technology before Windows existed.
You really studied the information then.
Yeah, no, I was at Wits Tech, and it was a case of DOS programming, which to this day I can't do. In fact, I don't know how I passed the course, because our stats lecturer got arrested in our second year for being a pedophile. I never finished my DOS exam. It took me 15 minutes. I wrote my name on it, got up and walked out of the exam hall. The only thing I failed at was COBOL. I mean, COBOL was like, a cakewalk, but I'd never, it was just not for me. Excuse me. Computers are a means to an end. They're not I still don't know how they operate all these years later.
Oh, no, that's what I work with. I work with computers, and I work with, I'm specifically in the investments industry at the moment. So
what's a good bet?
I have no idea. I just make sure that all the funds gets allocated to the right places and to the right people.
I'll send you my bank details, all right? Tell me something. When one day you looked in the mirror and thought, shit, I have to do something about this. When was that? What caused that?
It wasn't, I don't think I looked in the mirror one day at all and thought I need to do something about it. I needed an operation. This is actually where a lot of my feelings towards my mother started, was on the day that I was born. I needed to be born with an emergency C-section, and my mom, those days they still did a vertical cut, or not a bikini cut as what they do today. And my mom's wound became infected, and she developed it became badly septic and everything. And ever since, she healed from that wound, but ever since then she started struggling with hernias. And she really struggled with it a lot. And it's not like she ever directly blamed me for her hernias, but whenever she would tell people the story of how her hernias started, she would say, on the day that Mart-Marie was born, blah, 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 blah.
Chip on your shoulder already, yeah.
Yeah, so it just that little thing in my mind, I'm to blame for my mom's sickness. And okay, and then other things as well, she was, yeah. So about yes, after my eldest daughter's birth, I also needed an emergency C-section for her birth. And then I also started struggling with hernias. And
So it brought it
yeah,
all home for you.
sorry?
So it brought it all home for you.
Yeah, well, I've been aware of it for my entire life, but yeah. So when I started struggling with hernias as well, I decided I won't tell my mom, because firstly, I didn't want her to have ever let my eldest daughter think it was her fault that she caused this for me. But in order to get this hernias repaired, I needed to lose weight. But I still had another child. I had my second son, and then I had my second daughter as well. And by that stage, I was so far down the rabbit hole with regards to weight. Yeah.
How
So
long ago is that?
sorry?
How long ago is that?
My last child was born in 2014. So about a few years or so after her birth, I still struggled with my hernias. I was still overweight. My doctor kept telling me I need to lose weight in order to have the operation. And it was starting to become a bit of a life-threatening situation, because I couldn't lose the weight to get this operation that I needed. And the hernias started becoming more and more of an issue. So one Sunday, I was sitting at my son's gala, my eldest son's gala, and I was just feeling so incredibly uncomfortable. Now, before my second child was born, I lost quite a bit of weight on Wailes then. So I knew Wailes worked, but Wailes is this thing that you go into group meetings. So it's almost like this Alcoholic Anonymous thing. Don't want to say that. Maybe I'm going to get in trouble if I say that. But you go to group meetings and then you weigh in front of your group leader every week. It's a very
Peer group pressure.
personal experience.
Yeah.
So before my eldest daughter was born, that was my second child. I lost quite well on Wailes. I lost about 30 kilograms. But then after her birth, with her birth being so difficult, I had bad postnatal depression afterwards. And I just couldn't get myself to actually go back to Wailes. So I stopped going to my group meetings and I picked up all that weight again. So by the time my last child was born, I was obviously very overweight. And
what are we talking about in terms of weight?
Sorry?
What are we talking about in terms of weight?
I have no idea, because my bathroom scale couldn't even weigh me.
Okay, so that's in excess of 130 kilos or something.
Yes, that's in excess of 130 kilos. It suited me very well that my bathroom scale couldn't weigh me, because I could do that whole ostrich thing. I could pretend the weight wasn't there.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so that particular Sunday, I was sitting there at my son's gala, feeling really bad and struggling a lot with my hernias that day. This one on this side, it just kept popping out, and then I had to keep on pushing it back in, and I was just incredibly uncomfortable, and it was hot and humid and miserable. And I thought, I better just phone Connie. Connie was my old Wailes group leader, and swallow my pride, phone Connie and ask her if I can come back to group. And that was now, my eldest daughter was born in 2010, and that was 2017, so that's 7 years later. So I phoned Connie, and wonder by wonder, she still remembered me. I lost about 30 kilograms that first time around on Wailes. So she still remembered me, and she still, she had a group like literally around the corner from my house at a time that I could attend. So on that Tuesday, my group meetings were always on a Tuesday. So on that Tuesday, I walked into Connie's group again, and I had to learn that I had just over 80 kilograms to lose. So yeah.
That's
That was
a lot of weight, 80
shock.
kilos.
That was a massive shock to me. I had to come home that afternoon and tell my husband I have to lose 80 kilograms.
How's he been through all of this? I mean, the yo-yo dieting.
Yes, he's been incredibly supportive. I also have got the best husband in this whole wide world. If he No, I met my husband when I was 16 years old. So he's known me for a long time. I was already overweight then. I went on my first diet when I was about 17 years old with the sole purpose of trying to win this man's heart. That was my goal. That was how I started my very first diet. And yeah, today he asked me today 22 years ago he asked me out. So we've been together for 22 years.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and so he's also a bit overweight himself, but his weight was a bit more manageable over the years. He's not, incredibly overweight. So
Is he tall?
he is quite tall. We all
Yeah,
tall.
tall people can carry it. It's really sad.
I'm also tall. I'm 174 centimeters
Okay,
tall.
so you're not so short either.
I'm not short either. My children aren't short either. So yeah, so where was I? Oh yeah, my
We went
husband.
back to Wales, came home and
Yeah,
told the hubby about the 80-kilo problem.
yeah, and he's been incredibly supportive. The only thing he was worried about in the beginning was Wales has a lot of food. It really is. They when they say you gotta eat more to weigh less, it's really true. You eat quite a bit of food, which is good because you're never hungry. But he was skeptic because I wasn't planning on exercising at all in the beginning.
It
I
must be pretty
decided
hard to exercise when you have you're carrying an extra person around with you.
exactly. So that's why I decided in the beginning I'm not going to exercise. And the previous time that I did YLS, I did exercise. And he was convinced that because I exercised the previous time, that's why I lost so well. So he was skeptical that if I wasn't going to exercise, I was going to struggle. But I didn't exercise at all that first bit. By the end of my first year, I started in February 2017. By the end of that first year, or that December, I've already lost enough weight to be considered for my surgery. I started walking a little bit in that February, March of 2018, just walking in my area for short walks. And then I had my operation in April 2018. I had my hernia operation. Yeah, and then I had the further 30 or 35 kilograms left to lose after my hernia op. The sad thing always was for me after my operation, I asked the surgeon if he can maybe tell me what caused my hernias. And he said, given the way my hernias presented themselves, in other words, there were multiple ones, and it was quite high up on my abdomen as well, not at all where my C-section scar was. And given the fact that my mom also struggled from hernias, our problem is probably genetic and not due to my mom's hernias was probably never due to my birth at all.
Yeah, it's just the association.
Yes, that's what when I went for therapy, I had a whole therapy journey last year. And when I went for therapy, that was one of the things, and one of the first assignments I had during therapy was to draw a self-portrait of myself. Well, that's like
That's
an
okay. I knew what you were talking about.
and yeah, to draw myself as a child, the way I saw myself, and to draw everything that I felt guilty or shameful about around that portrait. And then two of that pictures had to do with my mom, and as she was lying in bed feeling sick, and I draw one of my dad praying for my mom. So there was a lot of episodes like that in our house when my mom would be sick for days. And then my dad would have us all praying for her. And it was traumatic. it was really, and then all the while, I feel like I'm to blame for my mom's condition. And, and I explained when the surgeon told me our problem is probably genetic, and maybe even one of my girls will have it one day as well.
Oh, something to look forward to. That's nice.
Oh, goodness. But then Derek's like, well, you've got to, the whole idea of therapy was to cross these images out as I started realizing that actually wasn't my guilt or my shame to carry. And my husband felt that I needed to cross those images out. No, they shouldn't be there. And then I was like, but you can't just, if you went to prison for 37 years, believing that you did something that is wrong, and you told after 37 years, listen, that was never your fault, you don't just walk away from that. You can't just suddenly just believe it's not my fault. So yeah, so it took quite a bit of processing to get through that. So
I mean, so it took you 2 years to lose 80 kilos. That's remarkable. I mean, what is that? 3 kilos a month or something?
it's almost 3 years, 2 years, 10 months. I got to goal weight end of 2019. So yeah, it took me almost 3 years.
Mart-Marie, have you become like a way less ambassador now or something? I mean, do you have a lifetime free membership with gold points?
Yeah, you do get, when you reach a goal weight, you do get lifetime membership. So I am a lifetime member, but I'm not an ambassador. I feel quite strongly about it, that it's everybody's privilege to decide how they want to lose weight. I'm not a wellness ambassador. I'm not even a wellness group, group leader. I do these talks and things, and I post it on our wellness group. But I see my role as being supportive to the group leaders out there. Also, I feel I get very involved when people reach out to me. So I feel very deeply for others. And I think if I was a group leader, that would drain me.
Yeah.
That would take too much of my personal energy almost. So I feel also if I was a group leader, I would, I have to almost attend to one group. And what I'm doing now is I can reach so many more people, so much more people than I would be able to if I was just a group leader. So I try to get my message out to as many people as possible. At the end of 2019, when I got to my goal weight, I specifically asked my group leader that I want to do more open meeting talks. I want to get to as many groups in Johannesburg as I possibly could. And then that goal was going quite well. I went to Waltevreden Park and in Linden and even here in Fontainebleau. And, I went to quite a few groups, and then lockdown hit. And then we couldn't go anywhere.
So how did that affect you?
So it affected me quite a lot, because firstly, I've become a runner over the last few years. So suddenly I couldn't run outside anymore. And that made me very anxious, because I thought if I can't run, then ultimately I would gain my weight back. I love running. And I was scared that I was going to gain my weight back if I couldn't run. And then, of course, I couldn't do my open meeting talks. And those were my exercising and my talks were, I believed, kept me on my goal weight. And suddenly both of those were taken away from me. I couldn't do either of those. So I had to make a plan. So I started with my online talks. And that gave me the opportunity to get to so much more people than I would have ever gotten to if I just did open meeting talks. And then I started running in my garden. I started running in my front yard. I have a track. My running track is still not
around the house.
Sorry.
Around the house. There's actually, you've got a kindred spirit listening to this talk, Kerry, because Kerry during lockdown, I think she did 21 kilometers around her house in one day or something. I mean, she used to run marathons or half marathons around the house.
The most I've done in one day was about 13 kilometers in one day. I did my first half a marathon on the anniversary of my goal weight in 2020. I said I'll do it 21 kilometers for 2021. So I did a 21 kilometer on that anniversary of my goal weight date last year.
Tell me, before you started losing weight, what health problems did you develop?
Yes, see.
Sore feet?
Sorry?
Sore feet, sore knees, sore hips?
Extremely sore hips. My ankles were terrible. My ankles were so swollen. I see that with my elder sister now as well. Her ankles are incredibly swollen. And the skin used to get so itchy. I don't know if the skin stretched or something, but it became incredibly swollen and sore and itchy. And then, of course, the inner rubbing of the thighs. And you can't get any pants that fit you. So you've got to sort of make do of dresses. And that makes it even worse. And yes, and high blood pressure. I actually learned now that I've got low blood pressure. I'm actually not even a high blood pressure person, but my blood pressure shot up so much while I was that much overweight. Just that, there's certain things. My bathroom, okay, I've got a little, I don't want to say a little corridor, but it's actually quite big. But at one stage, I could barely fit onto my toilet because there's a wall on the one side and a bath on the other side, and I could hardly fit in that space at one stage. I couldn't fit in my bath, so I had to shower, and then even in the shower, it's difficult to turn. I couldn't bend over to tie my shoes or to fix shoes. If I could, even when I was pregnant with one of my kids, my feet were so swollen that I had to walk barefoot because I couldn't find shoes that would fit me. I wear a UK size 9.
Wow, that's a big foot for such a little person.
Little. Let me firstly tell you, I'm not. If you even meet me in person, I'm tall, and I promise you, I'm not petite.
I've seen pictures of you. You look very petite.
Thank you, but I promise you, I'm not.
Karen says she can totally relate to the body issues. I think I can as well, which I mean, I say unequivocally. My mother has to look on. And Kerry said, that's awesome achievement, 21 Ks for 2021. Well done.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not watching the chat. So
No, you don't have to. I'll relate to you if anything comes up. Don't stress. I know talking is hard enough for you, so I'm not going to expect you to watch the chat box at the same time as well. Mart-Marie, how do you feel now? I mean, looking back, so we've done the dieting, we do the exercising, you've been through therapy, which I personally believe everybody should have anyway, regardless. How do you feel now looking back at yourself over the years? I mean, like, do you feel that you've wasted years, or how do you feel about those fat years?
Oh, that's
Is that another deep question?
I don't want to give away the title of my book that I'm writing. So, but let's because that gets very into that. But I don't feel that I've wasted years. I feel that things happen for a purpose. And maybe if I was just always thin and happy and, normal weight, then I would have never gotten to this point and I would have never been able to give this message. And so I so strongly believe that things happen for a purpose and people come on your path for a purpose as well. And that, yeah, I wish I could have been thin a lot earlier in my life, but this whole journey forced me to grow as a person, and in ways that I think I would have maybe never did if I wasn't overweight. So there was reason behind the madness.
And what kind of a mother are you in terms of what your kids eat?
Firstly, I don't cook 2 meals. So the kids eat whatever we eat. When I cook for them, then they don't have to eat what I make for them. They can decide to not eat anything. So they're not forced to eat anything, but then there's nothing else either. They can't not have their meal and then want to go and eat bread or something else that's in the fridge or something that, the next meal is only whenever the next meal is. And then if we've got dessert on the day, then if they had nothing of their meal, they can still have dessert. I don't encourage food as a reward at all in our house.
Okay, so there's never been a case of if you don't finish your plate, you can't have dessert.
No.
Or if you don't finish your plate, you have to go to bed or something like that.
No, not at all. I must say, I think my philosophy regarding food has changed a lot with my diet. But it's so difficult because my kids are still very small. Like Audrey, my youngest, she almost grew up on Waile's food. So she's much more used to it, I think, than what the others are. But before Waile's, I used to cook like my mom used to cook, basically.
So, yeah,
even with that,
2 starches and meat.
Yes. So when say somebody comes and visits us during the day and they bring potatoes, then my eldest daughter goes insane because we never have potatoes, and she loves potatoes. But I try to cook healthily, and I don't force them to eat. That's what they don't have to finish their meals, or I don't have to. And that definitely did change. I wasn't like that always. When I was before I lost my weight, I used to feel that they're wasting food if they don't finish their meals. So I got upset with that. And now I've taken a much more chilled attitude towards that. It's their choice to eat, but I don't get something else if they don't want to eat that.
Yeah, okay, so eat what's in front of you or go hungry, basically.
Yes, we have the saying in this house that you get what you get, or you get toast. But they don't actually get toast. It's just a saying that we have.
do you keep bread in the house as a matter of interest?
We do keep bread in the house. In the afternoons when we have lunch, then they can say what they want. Then I'll ask them, like, do you want a sandwich, or do you want some eggs or something? Eggs is quite a favorite for lunchtime in our house. I don't know why, but then they order. Then I literally stand as a waitress almost, and I take down their orders, and then I make them whatever they want to eat. They're quite good with that. And then once a week, we try to let the kids cook. It used to be Friday evenings, but that doesn't work out so well. So now it's Sunday evenings. Then we try to let them cook for us, which is also interesting because then you get to see what they actually want to eat.
What's a typical dinner in your house look like?
When I make food or when my husband makes food?
Now that's a really interesting. Let's do both. Let's start with your husband. What does he cook?
Well, if my husband cooks, then it would normally be meat. Like, he likes steak, so a red meat, and then with a glass of wine, and normally like a salad or sometimes some vegetables or thing. So I'd usually just go big on the salad and have a bit less meat than something. So I adjust my meal so that it's a little bit more in balance. When I cook, it's usually a lot of vegetables. I try to have at least 2 vegetables there for dinner. And then also some form of protein. So either something with beans or something, or chicken. Chicken is a favorite, or even these sausages, these pork sausages. I sometimes make them as well. And then a starch, but not a big starch, like
So
sometimes
pasta, no potatoes.
yeah, but not a lot. We don't eat a lot of carbs, so we don't, yeah, that's not something we do.
So what's the view on sweets and chocolates and chips?
I eat sweets and chocolates and chips, but not, we try not to keep it in the house. So when they'll get something, it's we go out and we buy something and then they'll have it. So I try not to stock a cupboard of snacks. So there is this thing that needs to be replenished. It's more like they go out shopping with their dad and then they get a treat. Or no, it's not a daily thing. It's quite rare, actually.
Are chocolates rare in your life, Mom?
Are chocolates what?
Rare in your life?
Yes.
Oh, okay. They never used to be.
No, well,
Yes,
I've got
the
a
other
husband with
day,
diabetes.
my husband bought us all a chocolate bar. One of those PS.
Oh, I love you.
Yeah, one of those, and it was probably, yes. He bought me one as well, and I thought, like, this is the first time, and I think 3 years, maybe 4 years, that I've had one. And it just felt so amazing just to sit and eat this chocolate, not gobbling it down, not, inhaling it, just sitting there and peacefully eating this chocolate. It was amazing, actually. And that was really like the once in 4 years thing.
I can't imagine no chocolate in 4 years.
I could actually live without it.
Mom says she could live without chocolate. I can't imagine life without chocolate.
My husband has diabetes.
I don't have a huge sweet tooth. I've got more of a savory tooth. My downfall is if there's biltong or chips. Yes, see, then it's very difficult for me. Then I'm actually sure I stand far away.
Mart-Marie, what is your? I know you like to focus on your maintenance program. So what's involved in that?
It is this. When I got into goal weight, on the day I got to goal weight, I still came home. I still cooked the supper that I planned for that evening. I got up the next morning. I weighed myself again, and I sort of continued like that for a few months. And then somewhere I realized this cannot go on. This, at some stage, I've got to start living as well. I cannot just remain on a diet forever and ever and ever. That's no way to live. And it got me thinking that so many people, and that's why I don't like talking about diets. There's so much written on diets out there. You can, if you Google for diets, you can just about find hundreds and thousands of hits. Okay, there's so many diets out there. It's actually overwhelmingly confusing. But there's hardly anything written on maintenance. In fact, if you Google how to maintain a huge weight loss, mostly the common feeling out there is a huge weight loss is doomed to be regained. That eventually someone that lost, I won't say someone that lost 80 kilograms instead of even someone that lost less, they doomed to regain it. So I thought I'll start, if there's so little written about it, then I'll start writing about it. I'll start writing about what it's like to maintain this massive weight loss. And it's been an introspection journey to try to figure out what do I need to do to live just to be. And that's what my whole maintenance journey is about, is just getting to that point where I can just be myself, eat what I want, but still, within reason, still exercise. And yeah, it is the most amazing journey and self-discovery journey that I've ever been on.
Do you think you could have lost the weight without the exercise?
I think so. I actually lost slower once I started exercising.
That's because muscle mass.
I think so. I've taken photos of me weighing the same weight, but about a year apart. But the 1 year I've obviously now exercised and things, and you can clearly see a difference. I've not lost weight, so the two photos are the same, at the same weight more or less. But you can clearly see a difference. There's definitely been a physical improvement that came with the exercising that I don't think I would have had if I didn't exercise. So there's benefits to the exercise, but it did make me lose slower.
So now when you go for your annual checkup now and they check your cholesterol, how's that?
My cholesterol is amazing. I've never struggled with my cholesterol though.
That's interesting.
But all my health checks are perfect. Sister Shay here at the pharmacy, I know her personally because she's also the baby clinic sister. So I actually have her on WhatsApp. So there's a few advantages to coming with having 4 kids. Okay.
Yeah, you get to be interpersonal relationships. Yeah.
You do. You really do. Like with Sister Shane, with our dentist as well. You see these people so often just because you've got 4 kids. But she says it's very seldom. It's so rare for people to have all their health measures, healthy and normal. She does our discovery checks every year, and yeah, mine are very good. So mine is perfectly normal. And I need to work on my iron. That's all. I've got anemia. So I've struggled with my iron since I was 17. So yesterday I went for an iron infusion, an IV drip for that. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I felt really good on this morning's run, so see what a difference that makes. But I'm positive that it will make a difference. So we'll see. That's the only thing I work on at the moment is my iron.
Going forward, what do you see as Mart-Marie's future? Are you going to be a weight loss icon?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll be a weight loss icon. That sounds weird. But I'm hoping to get my book published. I'm still writing it though. But I've finished not finished. Finished is a very hard word. I saw a publisher beginning of last week, a potential publisher, and she asked me to submit a pitch for my book to her, which I did last week. So that's the first 3 chapters. So I've sent that to her and I still haven't heard anything from her. So either it's total nonsense or she's just very busy, probably just very busy.
Are you writing English or Afrikaans?
It's English.
Wow, that's amazing. It's not even a language, eh? Wow, I'm very impressed.
I write in English because I keep on finding myself to Google things like, what's the correct punctuation for however? And then I've Googled it probably like 5 times already and I still haven't figured out what's the correct punctuation for however.
It's one word, comma. When you were at your biggest and you went shopping, what was your relationship with clothing like?
On that Sunday that I decided, now I need to phone Connie again, I was literally wearing the only dress that still fit me. I think I was a size 50. at that stage, but that was a squeeze. That was hardly something I fitted into. So clothing is a nightmare, and I don't really sew either. So you've got to sort of deal with 10 dresses. That's about the best option that you've got, almost 10 dresses and loose jackets, of shopping in the men's section for items, especially for shoes. You could hardly. That's why I love wearing heels now, because I can actually find heels that fit me now. But it's a nightmare. Even Donna Claire didn't stock my size.
Okay, that's scary.
Yeah.
Not that their clothes, my biggest problem with fat clothes, and for me, I don't have fat legs. And when you go looking for pants, everything is straight. Nothing is tapered. And I actually like tight jeans. You know, I like my jeans to be quite tight because they make me feel more comfortable then. I like my tops long and my jeans tight.
I've got a very typical pear shape now. So I've got the big legs. I've got these 3 trunks for legs. But I've got very thin shoulders and a small middle. I've always had a small middle. And now if you try to, fit pants and you're that size, even now I still find that. It's like the middle is just, as you said, it's straight. They expect your middle to be as wide as your hips. And that wasn't me at all. I've always had a quite, in relation to my hips, I've always had a relatively small middle. And I always had to take it in. I always had to do something to take it. I remember once I bought, so it was after I lost some weight before my eldest daughter was born. I took some pants to a seamstress to take in, and it's just because I couldn't find something that would fit me then. And I was small enough at that stage to, yes, I think, what was that? The size 28. I get so confused with these sizes because the one says 50 and the other one says 28. But I think
that's very confusing.
Yeah, I think they're actually the same size. But and then she had to take in the things for me because that's just, as you said, they make everything straight, and that's just not how we're shaped.
And now, where do you shop? You have your pick of the designer wear now.
My favorite clothes, yes, it's probably from Big Blue. Big Blue is my favorite shop.
In Linden, or you got the one in Cresta or in Linden?
Cresta one is the closest to me, but I have been to the one in Linden as well. But I love their clothes, but it's just, it's special buys when I do that. But I like going to Truett's and Fashini's, and even, yes, I could even shop at Pick n Pay Clothing, and that's, Pick n Pay Clothing only stocks very small numbers, and I can even shop there, which is amazing.
I know, and they so often have clothes that I like, and you can't even look at them. It's like going to Mr. Price. There's nothing there that I can buy.
No, I can shop at Mr. Price. I can do that as
Show
well.
off.
Meow.
Okay.
My favorite thing in the world. Well, I see Donna Claire closed in Cresta.
Did they?
They moved or closed something. But my favorite thing after I lost my weight was to walk right past Donna Claire. That was like, just walk past there and just go to Mr. Price. So I used to love that. So, it's just a pity the shoe size of mine, because sometimes I still find they've got a nice collection of number 9 shoes. But now I've also realized that if you wait long enough with the shoe sales, then at Woolies, you'll find that the only shoes that remain, that's left on the sale, are number 9s. So then I've got my pick of the bunch. It's like the only sale items left are number 9 shoes. So,
It's funny, I actually like, it's the one thing I can get on Mr. Price. I like their shoes, particularly their boots. They always have the most amazing boots, because I like to wear like hiking boots and stuff. And I really, really like Mr. Price shoes. Woolly shoes I've never liked. They've never been comfortable for me. But that's okay.
I'm quite bad with the shoes though at Mr. Price, because they normally only go up to number 8. And that doesn't fit me. I need to be a number 9. The number 8 is just too small.
No, they do have 9s, because I mean, I wear orthotics, and I'll often buy a 9 because they take the orthotics, whereas the 8 is too short.
Okay.
So keep looking. Go give them another chance.
I will.
Okay, so I'm going to start winding up now. So my question to you now, if anybody has any questions, won't you please pop them in the chat box before we run out of time? But in the meantime, Mart-Marie, what advice would you give to a short, fat child like myself, who's over 50? And I mean, I have lost a bit of weight in the last sort of 3 months, but every time they close the swimming pool, there goes my exercise, because I'm a swimmer. I hate running, walking, or going to gym.
My advice would be to start believing that you are worth being thin. Because ultimately, dieting or eating well and exercising are acts of self-love.
Is that it?
Was
that I was expecting a nice long sort of, exciting answer. Self-love. Okay, so go back to therapy is your answer.
If you really believe that you are worth being thin and worth being healthy, and that you deserve to give yourself that, then dieting or eating well and exercising will follow as a result of that.
Just as well I love swimming in that case.
I think someone didn't like my advice because someone seemed to drop off.
No, you know what it is? She can't hear properly. So you'll see that when you're looking at her ear. Because her ear is right by the phone. No, we are. So the ear is right by the phone. So she's actually listening. So we're looking at the inside of her ear most often. And that's the only reason she disappears. I think she's also watching the State of a Nation. She said she was going to juggle between, Greta, with the other things that were going on. So she said to me, it's exceptionally busy this evening. And you had to compete with her. So don't worry, don't be offended. And she's a skinny little old lady, so don't worry. She's like my mother, like one of the skinny little things.
And I was brought up on heavy shoes, and I'm still skinny.
Yeah, I do think a lot of it is fighting your genes.
My father was heavy, my mother was heavy.
Yeah, I mean, my biological father, his sisters were all 10-ton tessies. I mean, they were all big. They were not. There were 4 sisters. The one's not big, but the 3 were huge. My father was portly. He died of a heart attack. So I mean, I do believe to a large extent you are fighting your genes, but at the same time, I have been thin before. So clearly, it's not a.
Can I tell her what Mark said?
No, you cannot tell her what Mark said, because we are not sharing family secrets and bits and pieces tonight. We are talking about Mart-Marie here. We're not talking about our family's dirty laundry, if you don't mind.
Send you a WhatsApp.
My family's. I don't believe it is passed down your genes. I've got my own theory on that. I believe that I actually did a talk about that just a few weeks ago on how I see fat passed down generations. And yes, it's too long to talk about now, but it basically boils down to that I believe that we share misinformation about food. So we pass down messages that food is pleasure and love and community and joy. We overemphasize the joy and the niceties of food.
Well, that's because all gatherings and things have food. The family gets together, there's food. Christmas has food. Thanksgiving has food. Easter has Easter eggs. So there's food to celebrate birth and death.
It becomes easy for children and even young adults to make a connection that when they feel lonely or sad or think to reach out for food to make themselves feel better, because they've had that positive messages regarding food their entire life. That's how they grew up. And then we also neglect the proper food education, like teaching our kids about healthy food. Like, what do they need to eat? How do they need to balance a meal? You know, I mean, my kids know they need vegetables and protein and carbs, and there's a specific reason why each of those components are on their plate. But how many kids really know that? Or how many of parents teach their children that? And then, so I think that happened for me. I think we numb with food. And I think I picked it up from a young age already. I started numbing my emotions with food from a very young age. And I just continued that throughout my life. Whenever I was feeling overwhelmed or depressed or sad or something, I would eat. And after a while, you can't get enough sugar in anymore to raise your dopamine levels to where you need to feel better. So you eat more. And
that's an addiction, basically.
A cycle. A vicious cycle, because then you start feeling bad. My friend used to say, the only thing that feeling guilty over chocolate cake is going to bring you is more chocolate cake. Because you feel that you might as well, you can't do this anyway, so you might as well just eat. You know, if you're going to eat it, or if you don't eat it, it doesn't make a difference. So you might as well just eat it and enjoy that, get that rush from eating, even if it's just for a short while. So that's how I see fat, past, and rashes in a very nutshell now.
Do you buy any processed food? I mean, do you buy food that comes in tins or boxes or?
We do, but it's very, like, I go to Carreras every Saturday and I buy fruit and veg for the week. And then I go next door to Tony at the flower and nut shop and I buy nuts and seeds and, so I cook from scratch every day. So we don't have box meals, or we hardly have takeaways. It's very, very rare that we'll, like maybe once a month or once in 2 months, that we'll have a takeaway. So I cook from scratch. The only tins and things I use is tomatoes. I have to really think about it now. Even my beans, I cook my beans from the dried beans. I don't even use tinned beans. So the only tins I use is tomato and that coconut milk.
Okay.
That tinned coconut milk. That's the only tins I use.
That's the only tins I use. That's the only tins I eat. Mart-Marie, I have to wrap this up now. Karen said, congratulations, Mart-Marie, you are my icon and your updates on social media keep me motivated.
Oh, thanks, Karen.
And I think you're going to have to be my icon as well, and you're going to have to keep me motivated. So I'll go swimming tomorrow morning now that the pools are open.
I'll go running tomorrow morning at 6. I'll probably be on the road.
Yeah, well, good luck to you on the road at 6 o'clock. I'll go to the swimming at about 9. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I look forward to reading your book when it comes out. You'll let me know so that we can do another one of these and have a nice little book launch. And after reading your book, I'll be able to discuss it with you 10K lighter or anything, Mart-Marie, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure. Kerry says, what a fascinating chat. Thank you. That's the crazy runner that we have for a friend as well. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. And on Sunday morning, we are talking to Amji Kistan about self-love. Perfect for Valentine's morning at 9 o'clock. Thanks so much, everyone. Go well. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.